Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Football Inc. It's your daily dose of transfer news, views, and clues from around Europe and maybe the world, depending on where the stories take us today. We hope you're all happy and healthy, doing those things that you love, those you love to do with. Guys, please do us a favor before we get going, before I bring in Johnny and say hello to the man. Make sure you do the necessaries. Take your shoes off, make a cup of tea, smash the granny out of the like button for us. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell as well so you know when we're going live. And keep the comments flowing within and throughout. And guys, if you are new here, let us know where you're from and who you support. We'd love to get to know you. Johnny, my man, how you doing? Another day, Friday. Well, happy Friday. How are you, bud?
It would be happy Friday if it wasn't for some of the news on some of the things as the Spurs fan. As you might have noticed, I'm wearing camouflage, Shawnee, camouflage hat, camouflage
out of trouble.
And that is the reason for that is come the dusk tonight, I'll be trying to break into the Arsenal camp to sabotage Eze's transfer to Arsenal. I can't think of anything else. Desperate measures. We got to do everything we can. Can someone not stand outside Daniel's house with a placard saying, "Free Eze"?
Why always us? Like Mario Balotelli. Why always us?
Always us. Good afternoon, everyone in the chat.
Anyway. There is nowhere better to start than this particular story. So, not for what it's worth. I feel like Tottenham fans are getting a little bit in meltdown mode about this already when, let's just sort of clear the air here. He isn't a Tottenham player as much as everyone kind of thinks of him as being. He was an Arsenal fan and played in the Arsenal youth team when he was a kid. He plays for Crystal Palace. Nobody officially has made any bids yet as far as the news cycle is saying. And that Tottenham, yes, there's obviously been it's a clear love affair between the club and him. And he's been at the club a few times. And obviously there's various reasons as to why Tottenham fans attach themselves to this guy, not least of which being the fact that, he comes across as a Tottenham type of player, exciting, dynamic, fluid, top level, energetic, spicy, feisty, everything you could possibly want.
All the things you don't want as a Spurs fan.
All the things you don't want, all the things you absolutely would love to see. But at the end of the day, and maybe the fact that it's Arsenal makes this a little bit more spicy, I guess, and a little bit more difficult to swallow, a bit bitter pill. And by the way, it's not done there either yet. The story isn't that he's joining Arsenal. The story, if you just joined us and you've been under a rock for the last 24 hours, is that essentially Tottenham, whilst they love him, and that's what Romano said, Tottenham love Eze, they haven't made any official move. Arsenal haven't made an official move with Crystal Palace, but they have apparently agreed personal terms with the player. What's your take on this, Johnny?
Well, listen, look, mate, you love Helga, but you're willing to pay, right? You don't watch from afar. You go in. You're ready to...
Gee, I didn't see that one coming.
Listen, look, let's be honest, right? Bertie, what they're saying is Bertie have had meetings with Spurs, with Crystal Palace or Eze's representatives. If you've got that far, they're feeling around, okay? But look, they wanted to do Rodrygo. They liked Nico Williams. We're not sure if that deal's going to come off because Athletic Bilbao are complaining to La Liga that Barcelona don't have the money to even register him. So how can they do the deal? And so I suppose the next one up really is Eze. Look, Sean, if you read the room and Daniel Levy could read the room right now, or even in the past few weeks, and saw the adulation for Eze when he came to White Hart Lane or to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and banged in those goals, every fan wanted him. They're all asking for his autograph. They're all saying, when you coming? We want you at Spurs. We want you at Spurs. This is Daniel's chance to pay up 20 over 3 windows or 3 seasons and become a hero to Spurs fans, right? And say, not only did he deliver the Europa League finally, he's delivered us the player we all want.
Yeah,
instead,
100%.
He's choosing the path of the ultimate villain. Because if he turns up in that Arsenal shirt and holds that Arsenal shirt up, the fan base will go into meltdown. And I understand why, Sean. I can't remember a player that unified the fan base as a signing more than he did or does.
Yeah, currently. I agree.
He reminds me of the Ginolas and some of the special players that have put on that lily white shirt over the years. And so I can understand the meltdown, that because Spurs fans truly did have the belief that when you saw Daniel's comments that I want to win the Champions League, I want to win the Premier League, and then the news breaks that it isn't £60 million up front that everyone's been led to believe for such a long time, but it is in fact 3 equal payments of 20 million, which is well within Spurs' budget to pay, that Spurs fans' hopes went through the roof, and rightly so. We're twerking for him. The price is right for him. We've got the money for him. But does Daniel want to play for a player who's coming up to be 27 years of age? Right? I don't quite understand it, because even at the end of a 5-year contract, he's only going to be 31 years of age. I think he's going to be 27 on Sunday. So for me, it's the choice. It's the choice now. Look, the thing is, the one thing I worried about Thomas Frank, and I'm a huge Thomas Frank fan, would he walk into that dressing room or look at the riches that he has in the Tottenham dressing room and be salivating at the choice of experienced players, youth players, in comparison to what he had at Brentford, so that he wasn't the restless native, angry and itching that he has to improve this squad like a Conte or a Mourinho, and he was quite happy with his lot. And I said that would be a fatal mistake, because he had to come in here and demand as a new manager 2 or 3 players that he must have. Now, if Norgard wasn't one, but Arsenal saw he was, and he was close to Norgard, why isn't Eze one of his? Now, we know there's no way that he's not a fan of Eze. If he's not going to win on Bueno, and he's not going to get Norgard, and he's not going to get Eze, serious questions have to be asked. We do not want a guy who might be good in 3 years' time, or 4 years' time, or 2 years' time. Spurs fans need a marquee signing once and for all, because we haven't had one since Rafa van der Vaart. And that was years ago.
Yeah, so lots to break down here, mate. And I'm going to be saying some pieces and then also throwing some questions at you.
100%.
I think that, first of all, like, just a quick little pun here. We're talking about 2020. Well, most people say that, hindsight is 2020. In this situation, I think it's foresight, right? Like, I think it needs a little bit of foresight being 2020 here, because it's clear that the fan base are right behind this idea. It's very, very rare in my time in the YouTube space, 3.5 years, have I seen a universally accepted will for the same player.
Yeah.
Very rare. Very, very rare. I feel like I'm the only person. I'm probably put into that pool of people. You don't like Eze, all because all I've said recently is, if we don't get him, it's not the end of the world. It's a saturated space. And I think that there's a lot of players out there that we can go after. But that's not the point. That's by the by. Everybody generally, and myself included, would be delighted if you signed this guy. The fact that Arsenal have turned their attention to Norgard just as Tottenham have turned their attention to Norgard. The fact that Arsenal have turned their attention to Eze just as Tottenham have turned their attention to Eze. I don't know if it feels like Arsenal being a little bit bitter about the fact that there's only one European Cup winner in North London. They're trying to sabotage any growth. Not sure about that. I'm only joking, Arsenal fans, if you're watching. But good luck to Arsenal, in as much as they've got owners that are meaning business, and their fans, that it's not the player that they want, but it's certainly a player that I think that I said it a couple of days ago. I said that it makes a lot of sense to me that Arsenal would come in if it was a more malleable structure, and Man City for what it's worth, and they're apparently also sniffing around. So I don't understand. I understand why Arsenal are getting involved. I don't understand why Daniel Levy would scoff and scorn at this one. I don't want an owner that listens to the whims of the fans and does whatever the fans want, because the fans change their mind whenever the wind changes direction. So you can't trust the fan base to be consistent, and nor should fans have to be. They're fans. The owner has to do what's right. But if he had the audacity to sit down with Vinay, who's known for fan engagement, who comes across like he isn't on the spectrum, like there's more than just intelligence, there's common sense in there, there's like logic, there's things that are like that maybe Daniel Levy doesn't have at times, and for him to co-sign and be on board, his first act, by the way, his first visible act as CEO of the company was to sit down with Daniel Levy and allow Daniel Levy to say out loud, for the first time in 25 years, our ambitions and our intentions are to win the Premier League and to win the Champions League, to then allow something like that to happen. It makes absolutely no sense, Johnny. Like, it doesn't make any sense why he would say those things. If we're broke, we know we're not broke. We know that Matt Law's full of shit on that one. No disrespect, but we know he doesn't know what he's talking about. But like, to then say, oh, we've got intentions to win the Premier League, but by the way, we're sticking this. You know, it's another thing I said a couple of weeks ago, a month ago. I said, like, I don't mind the club having their profiles and their conditions around like identification in certain positions if we're already deep in that talent pool. Like, go and get Kyle Walker-Peters if you need to as a fullback. Fine, I won't have a problem with it. Don't want him, but won't have a problem with it. But in a position where you absolutely need to improve, where we're technically weak, especially if Sonny's off, then you need to bring in someone that's going to make people go, we're losing Sonny, but we're getting this guy. If he lets him slip through the net without even putting a bid in, and he goes to Arsenal, where Arsenal are likely to pay the wages that maybe Daniel Levy will have a problem with, to not even have a crack at this one, it's suicide, isn't it, mate? It's PR suicide.
It's self-harming. It just feels self-harming. Look, I'm not going to say there aren't other players out there who are good, right? We know there are, right? But that isn't the point. You know, it's like something you've craved for such a long time. Spurs fans haven't just craved Eze for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. It's probably been going on for at least 2 years. And, you know, I don't understand it. And the fact that the 20 million has made it even worse. If that 2020 hadn't come out, I think certain elements of the fan base could understand, well, we don't have 60 million to go and pay out. And instead, what do we hear? We hear that they want to boast. We have signed Boast from Leeds. A 16, 17-year-old kid. You know, that's the news they want to churn out, right? He's not going to be doing anything in our first team for years, right? So look, you got to throw the fan base a bone.
Well, I don't not expect it from Daniel Levy to not be able to read the room. I expect it. I don't not expect it. I expect it from Daniel Levy to misread the room, right? I do. But can we just park the fire at him for the second? And this is all, by the way, nothing's done yet, so we don't know.
No, that's the thing, right? Look, this is rumor, conversations, but we saw Zubimendi conversations, deal done. Kepa, deal done. Right? Bertie doesn't mess around. He's a very good director of football. He's had the conversation.
Isn't Vinay's first act like really concerning? If he co-signed that meeting, mate, if he co-signed that video, even if he wasn't prepared for Daniel Levy to say it and Daniel Levy just said it, like, you know, in the moment, and he caught on camera, they would have reviewed it, watched it back, and then Vinny's gone like, what? Why did you say that?
Well, maybe.
Well, I mean, it's about time we said something. Like Vinny's first visible act, Johnny. That's pretty. He has to back this up. He has to back it up.
Well, it just doesn't make sense. If you're an Arsenal fan right now, you know, you've not had a lot to cheer about. You've watched us, watch Spurs win the trophy. You've watched us do absolutely nothing in the transfer market other than sign, Matthias Tell for a lot of money. And yet we can't find the money for Eze because he's too old at 26, 27. I mean, come on, Jesus Christ. I mean, this is the prime. Big prime. You're not going to win the
league with 21-year-olds. If he says, I want to win the league and the Champions League, but
by
the way,
no one of this
my business are we sign 21s and under always.
No. You're not going to win anything with this guy. This is a guy who lifts. Look, you watch him in playing for England, right? You know, there's no way that the players in England squad, they're watching him and not seeing a player. There's no way Tuchel doesn't see the player. Everyone can see it, right? Just pay the money, for God's sake. Pay the money, be a hero, right? But no, what do you want to do? You don't want to pay anything. Look, I'm telling you now, if Arsenal get Eze and Zubimendi, right, and they end up getting Sesko with the other players and the defenders, Arsenal are going to be serious contenders for the title. That's my prediction. I mean, look, I know you can say they're contenders anyway and they'll come second, but I think this is a serious upgrade. I know Liverpool have upgraded their squad, seriously upgraded their squad, but you look at Arsenal's squad, look at their intentions. They're in the same competition as us. Look at their will to win and look at ours. We don't look like we are a team or a club that believes in what it says, right? One said in March, we are going to spend big in the summer, and the rumor was about 300 million. We're going to spend big in the summer to try and bring the title to Arsenal. What he said is, I want to win the Champions League and I want to win the Premier League. He hasn't told us how he's going to do it. Well, how's he magically going to do it?
Or when he's going to do it. Yeah.
Or when he's going to do it, yeah. But we've signed a 16-year-old from Leeds. We'll probably sign another couple of players that we've got no idea who they are. And, we've signed Takai, for 5 million. You say Kudus fits his, but Kudus is not, he is not a consistent player. He comes in and out. Right? He doesn't. He does not. He's not a guy that plays every game and turns up every game. Listen, what you know about Eze Foundation, looks after kids, Christian, God-fearing guy, eats, sleeps, drinks football, absolute thorough professional. Right? If you're a brand, he's your brand ambassador, like he is for New Balance. He's your dream. Same can't be said for half of the other players that I'm not going to mention here. Right? He's the type of player. When Thomas Frank says, I don't want dickheads in my squad, he's not one of them. I don't want one of these players. I really don't. Xavi Simons is a good player.
Xavi Simons, to me, I'll be entirely honest, I think I would be happier or as happy. Well, I think Daniel Levy would be happier because he's younger. But the unknown about Xavi Simons is
he prem proven?
Is he prem proven? We don't know. He's not. He's not
well,
proven.
That's the point, isn't it?
100%. It's 100% a massive unknown. 100%. I'm not going to argue that with you at all. And I think there's another variable. I think that Eze is a far stronger guy. Xavi Simons is more Odegaard-esque, right? He's more kind of lightweight. But he's more nimble, and I think that Xavi Simons has got a better pass on him. I think that he's more tricky than Eze is. I'm not taking anything away from Eze. I personally absolutely adore watching Xavi Simons play football. I think he is so creative, so intelligent. They're different sorts of players that essentially play the same role. Look, Eze, as far as I can tell, looking at the stats, looking at the heat map, the season heat maps, Eze started 85 to 90% of the games as a 10 that drifted left to pick the ball up and then came back in. Xavi Simons played 50% of his minutes as a left winger that came in and as a 10 that had the float and the free roll, could go onto the right as well if he wanted to. I personally think that in either scenario, you've got a player there that's going to be excellent, but I still think you have a problem keeping everybody happy for 12 months when everybody's fit with regards to Decky and Maddison. But that's a problem I'm happy to have on the presumption that it's fine. But you'd sell one of those other two next summer, right? Or in January or whatever.
Listen, I think, you need consistency. By the way, Steve Quartz, about Eze not consistent early part of the season, without going into too much detail, he carried on and played through an injury and a big injury. It's not a little injury. To do with his foot. So I'm not going to go into exactly what it was, but he played through. Glasner asked him to play through it and played through it. He did. So, I think what you need to know is he single-handedly won them the FA Cup, Crystal Palace the FA Cup.
Yeah, he's a big game player. Big game player for sure.
He's the guy. He scored for England, mate. He's the guy that drops his shoulder when it's 0-0 and you got up against the low block and you can't score and he bangs one in. We don't have a player like that. We got Papa Sarr, who shoots from 30 times to find on target once, and when he does connect, he has got a great shot on him. And Pedro Porro. Other than that, we don't have a central player that can do what Gareth Bale used to do. Drop his shoulder and bang one in. Listen, it's up to Levy now. Read the room, get him in, because no one wants to hear that we've signed the most exciting 15-year-old or 16-year-old right now.
Is Eltel Cockerell here, Johnny? And shout out to you, Eltel. Hope you're okay, mate. Is he got a point here that as of right now, the players that we have been signing, as with last year, there was no Take linked to Tottenham, Take in discussions, Tottenham. It was nothing, Bomber, right? Same with this guy, Boast. Nothing, Bomber. I don't know anything about this Boast kid. I've got no idea. So I'm not even going to, unless you do, Johnny, if you want to educate us.
No. Listen, what I know about Boast is he was an understudy to Harry Gray, Archie Gray's brother. He scored a hat-trick. He's played for England at a much higher age group than his age. Same playing for Leeds, and he's meant to be a really hot talent, and other clubs were interested in him. But it's irrelevant now. Fans, great for the future, but not what.
It's only great for the future if these kids get a chance. And how many of them ever do at Tottenham? And we've done all of this like pivot to youth, and only one or two of them have actually had a chance to break through. Right, the rest of them are sent out on loan, and
they're on different remits, Sean. Right, Johan Langer's remit is youth. Fabio's remit is first team, and that's where he strunk that Lang.
So is Xavi Simons under the Fabio remit or under the Johan Lang remit then?
Well, who knows that we're even going for him? Correct.
But that's the point. I think the point that Eltel's making here. I think it's 100%. A reasonable one. I think he's an absolutely reasonable one.
Mind you, Dom Sawanki was definitely well scripted. As was, Brenda Johnson and some of the others.
Oh, you gone back to Brenda again, have you? Okay, fair enough.
No, Brennan. I'll give him Brennan. I'm hoping that, look, the thing I love about this appointment with Thomas Frank is he's a top coach, a personal coach that will improve them individually, something that we didn't have under Ange. But, look, it is what it is, Shawnee. It is what it is. And, we can compensate and we can digest it as much as we want. But, Arsenal are making moves. As I said, they were looking at Rodrygo, but that would be their first choice, as is Nico Williams. But that ain't going to happen. It doesn't look like it. But they're also in talks to sign Valencia's defender, Mascara.
Just quickly, I don't want to spend the whole time talking about Tottenham.
No, this is about Arsenal.
I know it is, but I just want to quickly finish. That's what I know. I was just saying.
Trying to move along.
No, I know. Before we do, I just want to get this topic out of the way for the Tottenham fans that are watching. In a world where Eze doesn't come to Tottenham, where do you see where would your how could you be not satisfied, like you're hungry, you haven't eaten, it's time for a takeaway, you want to get your pizza, Eze's your pizza, you can't get a pizza, if you want it you go, okay, I'll go and get a burger.
Eze's a 5-course Eze's a 5-course fine dining menu.
Okay, fine, fair enough. But then what's the if that 5-star restaurant is closed, where do you go to be satisfied, if not perfect? Where do you go next? Is Simmons next on the list? Is Kudos next on your list? Is that Mikhail Tadzi, who's obviously a little bit more of a Levy bargain basement thing, but don't mistake the price for the value, because he is a top class player. I love him. What about someone like, could you see Tottenham going in a different direction and getting one of these names that we wouldn't even think that we could get hold of, like a Nico Williams, like a Rodrygo? Is there any, where do you see Tottenham going in a world where Eze does turn up to be an Arsenal player in a couple of days' time?
Barry from Barnsley, probably.
Right, okay.
I just look. You know, you ask most Spurs fans. I want to turn this away because it's not all about Spurs. This channel, but if you ask most Spurs fans after those conversations with Levy and Vinay, what would be a great window? And Mbeumo and Eze and X, and Mbeumo, right? And now it looks like both are gone. So, you know, I mean, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Yeah, I mean, could you imagine? I mean, honestly, no, I can't see it. I can't see it. I really can't see it. Arsenal mean business. Man City mean business. Liverpool mean business. And even Man United, who apparently are up to their eyes in debt, slashing everything, massive problem getting rid of the wages, are still splashing the cash. And Spurs are still, you know, with the handout like a Just Giving page, asking for donations. We shall see. We shall see. If they're operating quietly, Sean, if they're operating quietly and there's inward investment coming in and they're going to make big signings but not make a big splash that they've got money and put out there that we haven't got any money, when we do, then all is forgiven. But if that's the case, you would have bought Eze, right? It's as simple as that.
I mean, there's no guarantee that we're not going to buy Eze. It's just it's all rumours at the moment.
Yeah,
as someone said in the comments a minute ago, I think, and I said this on last night's show, on the Spurs Talk show, Romano was doing a live stream and on his channel or on someone's channel, and the chat was full of Arsenal fans saying Eze to Arsenal, Fab, Eze to Arsenal, any updates? He ignored it all. He ignored every bit of it. He didn't even mention it once. And he still hasn't, by the way. So, and he's not someone that just does the tap in. Like, you'd think that he would announce something if there was more to it.
Well,
I know that you might know things or two behind the scenes and stuff, but
who isn't interested? You know, Man City would be interested. Man United would be interested. Arsenal, Spurs. Who wouldn't be? Let's be honest. You know, you're delusional if you're thinking to yourself, he ain't that good anyway when he goes somewhere else. Yeah. You know, and clubs in Europe will be interested in him. I'm surprised that someone like Bayern Munich haven't been interested in him to link up with Elise again, because we saw how dynamic that partnership was. But it is what it is. Let's
pivot to let's stick with Arsenal though.
I was just going to do that one that we're just saying there. Which was,
before you talk about the Mosquera, just quickly, Rodrygo is their first choice, right?
Correct.
And apparently there's a story out today. I've got the story in front of me somewhere here. Where's it gone? Here we go. No, it's disappeared. Hang on. That Real Madrid apparently are lowering their asking price for Rodrygo. Maybe they're a little bit concerned that the Eberechi Eze story is true. And maybe, by the way, maybe Arsenal are dangling the Eze rod to get Rodrygo. What do I know? But from what I've read, that Rodrygo is their first choice. And to be entirely honest, he probably should be, because no disrespect to Eberechi Eze, but Rodrygo is, like he's top sort of 4 or 5 in the world, isn't he? So, if Arsenal can get him, here we go. Real Madrid are set to lower the asking price for Rodrygo from 85 million down to 72. Oh, sorry. They're no longer looking for 100 million euro figure, which is about 85 million quid. Yeah. They're now looking to lower it down to 85 million euros, which is about 75 million quid.
It's not that. It's his wages, right? He's on astronomical wages, and that could be the problem. Sorry, just switching. El Dante, I'm not a knee-jerk reaction. I'm reacting to the knee-jerk reaction. It's never over until it's over. Okay. What I'm saying is, if it transpires that this happens, then this is what will happen. He can be a hero and deliver, or he can be the villain and let him go to Arsenal if he does go to Arsenal. But nothing's set in stone. Nothing's guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed at all. But the chat.
I don't think he'll be the villain if you go and get a Xavi Simons instead.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens. If you end
up with Barry from Barnet or whatever you said, then obviously then the 100%, then Ives will be out, and I'll be right there alongside everybody else at the next change for Tottenham protest. But
again, Arsenal are buying this centre back, Christian Mosquera from Valencia.
Right.
And you know, I didn't know a lot about him until quite recently, and he's meant to be an exceptionally good player. And
we were linked with him. I did a report on him about 2 months ago. We were linked with him. He's a good player. Looks like a good player.
Arsenal have been keeping an eye on him for the last 2 seasons. And like a good club, you monitor him and then you're decisive and you go in and you buy him.
Looks like a bit of an old school centre back to me. From when I ran him through the Y Scout, as far as I can remember, I've looked at a lot.
Like a Saliba. He looks a bit Saliba-ish.
He's to me, he looks like he's no nonsense. He's the sort of guy, almost like an Indica has become at Juve at Roma. Like the Indica that we knew from Frankfurt days was really sort of flashy and bring the ball out. Went to Roma. I think it was Mourinho. Maybe he sort of went no, none of that shit. Just get rid of the ball. Just do your job. Forget about all that flashy stuff. We've got other players to do it. From what I've seen looking at Mosquera on Y-Scout, unless I'm confusing him because I've looked at so many players recently, I'm pretty sure it's him that I'm thinking of.
He's a very good player, Sean.
He's very, very good, but like, he's a bit of a no-nonsense, old-school kind of like just a bruising, battling kind of centre back.
That's what Arteta likes. He likes an uncompromising, who's not afraid to go into battle. I mean, the fact is, RB Leipzig are balking at the 25 million price tag for a player who's 20 years of age and going into the final year of his contract. So, but Arsenal aren't messing around. Zubimendi, Kepa, this guy. Whether the strangest thing about Arsenal is the one position we thought they were going to rush in and sort out before any other is the only one they haven't done yet, which is the striker. Which, is a bit baffling. Lewis Skelly, as we know, signed the new contract for Arsenal, which is a major boost for them. Lots of interest from Real Madrid, trying to poke around there. But, I think he's done the right thing. He signed a new 5-year deal.
It's good news. Good news for Arsenal, mate. Good news for Arsenal. Not such good news for Newcastle United, Johnny, who, and I'm looking at this from Telegraph Football. I'm not sure if this is Matt Law, but it's someone else at Telegraph who says Newcastle have made bids for Brighton forward João Pedro, Burnley goalkeeper James Trafford, and Nottingham Forest winger Anthony Elanga. All 3 bids were rejected, and they can't go much more. Newcastle United fans. Look, Newcastle United fans aren't angry with Newcastle. Newcastle United fans are angry with the Premier League and rightly so. Not for the same reasons that I am, but Newcastle United are sitting there saying FFP, PSR is an absolute joke. How is it that we've got the wealthiest owners in the world, but we can't compete? And I'd say, well, maybe your owners need to start dabbling in the dark arts just like everyone else seems to be able to, Johnny. What's your thoughts, mate? I'm going to bring up, so just quickly, I'll bring up Kieran Maguire's tweet.
Yeah, look, personally, Sean, I don't want people coming into the Premier League and just buying it all up. I don't. All right. I think there needs to be some restrictions. Okay. I don't want to see Newcastle come in and be the Real Madrid and buy every single player there is and no one else have a chance of ever winning anything ever again because they just buy up everyone that they want and pay them extortionate wages that no one else can afford. Right. That's not how I envisage the Premier League. The Premier League has to have some balance to it. What you could do was increase the restrictions. So instead of, 110 million pounds over 3 years loss, extend it maybe to 180, 200 million over the 3 years to allow some leeway.
Apparently the next incarnation of PSR and FFP, I was actually talking to Grok earlier and he's filled me in on some of the ideas, but
Rob's a lovely fella, isn't he? I mean, he gives you
a lovely guy. He's very knowledgeable.
Gives you everything you need to know.
Very knowledgeable. He doesn't hold anything back. He's very, very, very reasonable with his information. He Grok was saying to me that one of the incarnations, also the iterations rather of the FFP PSR reshape is that there'll be something called like a PSR tax. So I thought that when I first read it, I was like, oh, that's just the idea of the anchoring rule or whatever that they shelved for now, but it will come back later. Turns out the tax idea is where teams with money are going to buy wiggle room from the other clubs in some sort of like bidding or some sort of like basically like if Tottenham have got £100 million worth of PSR wiggle room and don't want to use it or don't need to use it, then they'll
someone else
sell it to someone else. I mean, what are we fucking doing here, Johnny? Well, Daniel Levy be like, yeah, 100%.
I think Grok's got carried away. I mean, listen, Elon is talking to Grok, so God knows what he's told him, or her, should I say? Before anyone gets me into trouble. Listen, I think the rules are in a mess, a complete mess. I mean, I don't know what the Premier League do apart from sit on their hands and watch the cheating unfold. And all they do is take their own members, spend millions and millions and millions taking their own members to court, only to lose in court. I mean, you couldn't actually write it, to be honest with you. It's quite incredible.
Absolutely insane. Mate, just whilst we're talking a little bit about Newcastle, if you don't mind, just I just want to get this clear.
Thing here.
Yeah, I want to show everyone this, right? So, as you know, guys, if you watch this, and by the way, there's 480 people watching us for a tiny channel that's so cool. Please do smash the like button, hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Really appreciate it. This channel,
especially if you're hearing for the first time, guys. The subscribe button just lets you know when we're next on. We're on every day. But hit that button, helps the algorithm, and hit that like button. Thank you for all your support.
Yeah, really love it. Every day generally between 3 and 5 o'clock, we just go live for an hour talking about whatever's going on in the world of football. So this is the for those of you that don't know, that maybe if you're new around here. So myself and Johnny have spoken for a long time on my Tottenham channel and on Sean Butler TV in its previous iteration about FFP PSR. We're passionate about this topic. And we've actually like come up with loopholes, for example, in the past that hadn't yet been exploited. That about 48 hours were exploited by 2 teams in the Premier League. Fascinating stuff. Kieran Maguire is saying, obviously, football finance expert Kieran Maguire is saying the Premier League PSR rules are about as fit as for purpose as a chocolate teapot. Chelsea FC Holdings made a profit of £128 million in the 23-24 season after selling the women's team to itself. Most of you guys will know that. The parent company, Blue Co 22, which owns the men's team, the women's team, and Strasbourg, who also, for what it's worth, one of the investors into Blue Co 22 is Trip Smith, who's a part owner of West Ham, looking to take over the majority at West Ham very soon. So the parent company, Blue Co, made a loss of £430 million in the same period, as it cannot include intra-group transactions in the group accounts. Now, what's interesting here is that UEFA, the reason why Chelsea will face a fine, and we could go off on we should do an entire show about this, Johnny, because there's so many situations right now, right?
It's not a two-big thing, is it?
So UEFA, in their PSR rules, do not allow intra-group transactions. So UEFA will be using the £430 million loss, basically, rather than the £128 million profit. So Chelsea will face a fine. I'll come back to that part in 1 second. Let's finish this tweet off. In the same period, as it cannot include Richard Masters, head of the Premier League, keeps a straight face and says Chelsea have not broken any rules because the rules on these types of deals are full of loopholes. If I was Everton or Forest, I would be livid. It's not just them, mate. It's not just them. Here's the problem for me, Johnny, right? And it's the same with Aston Villa, but for different reasons. Chelsea and Villa, they can figure out ways because the rules are different in the Premier League than they are in UEFA. In UEFA, for example, as I said, right, the intra-group transactions don't count. So Blue Co's what would be used primarily to understand the UEFA rules. The Premier League rules do include those things, and they had the chance to stop those things 2 weeks ago at the Premier League owners meeting, and they didn't want to even take it to a vote because there was no appetite, because everybody thinks that PSR apparently is restrictive, apart from Daniel Levy. Anyway, so these teams, right, that break the rules like this, in so doing, because they're breaking these rules, they get to go and buy the players that they're buying, which allow them to outperform relative to everybody else in the Premier League, qualify for the Champions League and Europe and participate in UEFA, which not only gives them merit money in the Premier League that outperforms everybody else, they then get circa 70 to 100 million quid that they're going to get from the Champions League.
And the World
Then
Cup.
the next and the World Cup the World Club Cups, yeah, exactly. In essence, right? The next year they're going to break those rules. Chelsea and Aston Villa are scheduled to get a fine between £500,000 and £5 million. Chelsea more, Villa less. First
Chicken
infraction
feet.
for Villa. Second infraction for Chelsea. Chelsea paid a fine in 2022-23, going back to Abramovich's misdeeds. Barcelona did exactly the same thing a couple of years ago and got a €300,000 fine. Embarrassing. The worst part about the whole thing is, mate, is that you get to make 70 or 80 million quid by the quality of your club that you can put together by breaking the rules. You make an extra 10, 20 million on your merit money in the Premier League. You get to the Champions League. You make more money for your club through the sponsorships and all that shit, the non-match day events, the match day events, yada, yada, yada. TV. They make 80 million quid from getting into the competition. They're then going to face a maximum €5 million fine for breaking the rules, but still get to participate in the tournament anyway, where they will make another 100 million the next year, another 80 million the next year. It's like a fucking, excuse my French, it's like a Bentley is sat on the road and it's got his keys in the ignition. And you know that if you steal it and get away with it, cool, you've got a Bentley. But if you steal it and get pulled over by the police, the worst thing that's going to happen to you is you'll get a couple of hours of community service, but you still get to keep the Bentley anyway.
I mean, look, it's
a joke, mate.
Sean, we've been pounding this beat for such a long time. I mean, look at PSG. PSG have broken the French law, the French rules in their league nearly every single year. What do? They get a massive multi-million-pound fine. They just pay it. They don't care. Here's the money. And it's just become a cash cow for the French league because they don't have any money from TV rights. So PSG are happy to break the law about how much they're paying, the players they're bringing in, and they're paying out the money, and the French league get the money. And this, look, we know right now Aston Villa have been investigating for the last 18 months when we need to play our sell the ladies football team card. When can we play it? How much money can we get for the women's football team that will get us out the shit? We also know that Aston Villa and Chelsea did deals to sell each other homegrown players, right, that weren't worth two bob.
It wasn't Chelsea and Villa. That was Everton. It was Everton and Villa. Everton and Villa, I think it was.
Yeah. The other clubs have done it, right? Now, what they're doing is they're selling homegrown players, club-trained players, because amortize that helps them with the FFP and PSR, but no one can take them to court on it because the fact who says that player is only worth £1 million or £300,000. They're selling them for 20, 25 million. Multiply that by the amount of money because it's homegrown, and it gets them out of trouble. There's so many loopholes. Now we're going to watch Aston Villa, who was spending 96% of their income on wages. Now, they've sent back Asensio and they've sent back Rashford, but they're still above the threshold. They will get rid of Bailey, probably to Saudi Arabia, because their Egyptian owner has great relations with Saudi Arabia. They'll sell a couple of players to Saudi Arabia, overinflated prices, get them out of trouble, sell the women's football team to themselves at a massively inflated price, and then get round it all again. It's like daylight robbery, watching it in front of us unfold. Sean and I have been going on about this stuff for such a long time. Multi-club ownership. Newcastle, owned by the Saudi PIF fund.
Oh, that's the worst part about the whole thing.
Yeah, Saudi PIF fund. And what is Chelsea? Chelsea are owned by Clearlake Capital, who's one of their biggest investors. Guess who? Saudi PIF fund, right? It's all incestuous. It's going on. We know it. Everyone knows it. And yet the Premier League sit on their hands and do nothing. While clubs... Well, look, if Daniel Levy wants to play the honest game and say, I'm abiding by
I can't be on board that anymore, mate.
What's the point if you're the only guy? If you're the only one,
I can't be on board anymore, mate. I said this video. I did a video yesterday. I think it was on the Spurs Talk Show. I said, I'm to be honest with you, to the audience, I've been Daniel Levy's probably biggest advocate because not because I like him or care about him or in any way think he's a legend or whatever. I just think that he gets a hard time from people that don't necessarily understand all of the financial, and nor should they if they're not involved in that sort of work, all of the financial stuff that goes on in football. That said, when it becomes apparent that the rules are no longer worth the paper they're written on, as Kieran Maguire said 3 years after we started saying it, the FFP and PSR rules it's like a chocolate teapot. It's completely useless. At the end of the day, as much as it's admirable to want to do things organically, as much as it's admirable for him to have built a company that was 23 million quid and it's now worth 3 billion, and that Tottenham have been relatively competitive, relatively there or thereabouts, obviously not doing enough to get there in the face of the competition that we have to go against and the level of the resources that these guys have got, when they're also dodging and cheating and manipulating the rules as much as they are. And now they've got to the point where the idea of floating a vote to tighten these ridiculous rules doesn't even get to the point where it's worth taking a vote because there's not enough appetite to change it. At that point, you know, it's a one-way direction of travel. And if Daniel Levy and Joe Lewis and Enoch and all the other clubs, if all the people that are involved in Tottenham Hotspur cannot see the direction of travel now, that it's clear that FFP is irrelevant, then you either get on board and adapt and become the dark art master that I know they're capable of doing. They just don't want to. And if you don't want to, then respect the fact that the fans are not customers and that you're probably not going to be able to do what you say you want to do in a cheeky little video with Vinay. Move on and let someone else come in who has the ambition and the intention to take it forward. And I won't say goodbye with a middle finger. I'll wave them goodbye because I think they've done a good job and I respect what they've done. But so I won't share the resentment towards the owners like a lot of people do. But at the end of the day, the outcome has to be the same. Either adapt or depart. It has to be that way because the rules are a fucking joke, Johnny. They're a joke.
I was going to say I was right. Foxy said Chelsea to Villa was a deal. They sold Amari Kellerman to Chelsea for £20 million.
Yeah, and Villa sold their guy to Everton, I think. So it's like it wasn't like that. It was like
it over, right? And it's a joke. All three clubs benefit from a deal where none of the players are worth anywhere near the figure that was sold, right? I mean, it's laughable. Also, I'd just like to say before we change the subject that Kroenkes have lent Arsenal hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds at ridiculous rate to circumvent the rules. So, you know, no one else is getting that sort of money. And that was being investigated. It was being investigated by UEFA and it was being investigated by the Premier League. It was a big issue and Arsenal have really, and now all of a sudden it's been swept under the carpet again.
Yeah, because Manchester City won their court case regarding third-party transactions and inflated sponsorship deals. And their argument was, what's the difference between us getting a sponsorship to pay 50 million rather than 40 million and Arsenal getting a loan at 1% rather than 7%, which is the market rate? Right. So, and it's a fair argument, but the solution shouldn't be allow it all to happen. It should be allow none of it to happen. If you want fair competitive football, it shouldn't be let's scrap it. It should be let's tighten the knot, not open the door. It's insane. And just to finish off that point you made about the ownership thing, like the fact that two clubs in the Premier League are not allowed to be owned by the same owner directly, but all you have to do to get around that rule is to have one standard deviation away from the direct ownership, like you say in the case of Chelsea when they've got Clearlake Capital, one of their biggest investors is PIF, who own Newcastle. It's not just there though. The other owner of Chelsea is Blueco, who is owned by Tripp Smith, who's a part owner of West Ham, who's looking to become majority owner when he buys out the Gold stake and the Sullivan stake, and the Trikinski stake. And then he'll probably get the Sullivan stake as well. But that doesn't stop there. Tripp Smith is also a part owner in a venture that is owned by David Blitzer and Blackstone Capital, who are minority owners in Crystal Palace. Right? Like, it goes on and on. And don't forget about like 777 Partners and MCP Capital that had the whole Everton stadium financing situation.
Yeah,
it just goes on and on.
We haven't heard the end of it. And this is really a whole show. We don't want to take up the whole show with this. On other news, Brentford have finally appointed, it seems, set-piece coach Andrews to place Thomas Frank. It's quite interesting because I don't want to take this back to Spurs, so we'll just do this quickly. But Thomas Frank, all the big news that all the staff are coming to Tottenham, Cochrane, this one, that one. And the only one who didn't leave was the one player that Spurs, one member of staff that all Spurs fans seem to be talking about, was Brentford's fantastic set-piece record. He didn't come with. He stayed there, and he's going to become the manager. So good luck to him, because obviously he's going to be up against it. He's lost Norgard. They've lost obviously the manager. They're going to lose Mbueno, and no doubt there'll be others. There'll be others coming in.
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. Just a little bit of an update as well. There's a few more stories that we got. There's loads more stories we can get to. Have you got time, Johnny?
I can. Just to El Dante, if you could just link him up there.
Sorry, El Dante. Oh, the super chat.
Yeah.
Thank you
very
mate.
much.
Appreciate you, mate. Yeah, we try to bring you this every day. Some days are drier than others, but we'll try and make it as moist as possible for you.
Oh, dear. Don't talk about moist grannies, please, Sean. Please. Honestly, taking it down. Market. A bit of a shock news here. Van Nistelrooy has lost his job at Leicester. Never saw that one coming, right? I wonder who.
That one took as long as it did to be.
I might be interesting to see who they bring into the mix now. To be honest, will it be an up and coming manager, or someone, one of the old guard? We shall see. What else have you got there, Sean?
Yeah, so Manchester United are interested in signing, according to this is from CF Bayern, right? So we know that it's got credibility. They're looking to signing midfielder Felix Nemeka from Bayern. From Dortmund, I think it is. I think he's at Dortmund. He's a midfielder, can play. He's a bit of an everything midfielder. He's been over in the Club World Cup. He scored a goal recently. I think he played 26 times for the Bundesliga team last season. 26 times, 4 goals and 2 assists. He's obviously a box to box, but he can play a creative side. But he's also got the DM side of him as well. He's a Germany international. He's 24 years old. I've had a look at him on FB Refs. He looks like he's a very, very good passer of the ball, and he can drive the ball. It actually kind of looks a little bit like, believe it or not, looks a little bit like. How do I say this?
Got a picture of him, Shawnee?
I mean, let's have a look. Let's have a look at him. Hang on a second. Felix Nemeka. I haven't really seen too much of him, but I was looking through his FB Refs, and just before the show started, I've had a little quick look on YouTube, not on Y-Scout. Does look like a real ball, like a really interesting player, can drive with the ball really well. Got a lovely pass. Is the screen being shared? It's not being shared. It is, yeah.
Yeah, Felix Nemeka.
This is the guy. He's got a bit of a. I don't know, Jaden's. Is it a? Is it? There's a Tottenham. I can't think who it is, mate. There's a Tottenham player that I feel like he looks like.
Looks like he's got a bit of a nasty edge.
Is it Sancho? I can't think who he looks like a little bit, but he's got maybe a little bit of Jude Bellingham. I don't know what it is, but there's a player out there that he reminds me of. But as a footballer, very interesting. But again, at 24 years old, right, he is going to come to come to Manchester United. He's going to want to play, right? So it begs the question: if there's truth to it, and that when CF Bayern tweet like that's not a nothing. That he's like the Romano of German football, isn't he? So if he comes to Manchester United, forget about the cop blocking of their sale problems. Who's he going to be replacing? Is it just?
I don't subscribe to all this. I think it's too much emphasis, way too much emphasis on the first 11. We have injuries. The only thing the argument against the United's case is the fact they don't have European football. So they're not going to have 65 games next season. They're going to have the 38 games in the league and whatever they do in the cup. So I can see them going full tilt for the FA Cup and the rest. But I can't. Yeah, I don't see there's an issue, to be honest with you. I think, if Man United, because we're all talking about these other clubs right now, but for me, if Man United managed to pull off Cunha and Buemo and Gyökeres, they are serious. I mean, We all know about the defensive issues, but offensively, they're superb. They're going to cause people havoc. They really are. They're going to be scary. It's a scary proposition up front, and I think over he does look like Moussa Dembele. You're right. It's just clicked.
I think he does as well, doesn't he? Yeah, he definitely he looks like someone for sure. Yeah, and I don't disagree with you, mate. Manchester United will look like they'll be transformed. They've still got to fix their goalkeeper and one or two at the back, but at the front end they'll be entirely terrifying. A little story out again. This is an update. We know this anyway, but Napoli and Juventus are willing to pay the £25 million fee for Sancho, but cannot match his £250,000 a week wages. I saw Mark Goldbridge, Johnny, on a short, like losing his shit, basically going, just get out of our club, you greedy little git. Get out. You don't deserve that money. You don't deserve it. You're lazy. You're shit.
Yeah, listen, let me work this out, right? Okay, the guy's still only 25 years of age. Let that sink in. Still only 25, not even in his prime yet. And if I was Napoli or Juventus, knowing full well that Chelsea had a deal for 25 million, they paid the £5 million fine. So you don't need to give them 25 million now. The maximum you give them is 20 million. So what you do is you offer him 5 million up front, give him the 5 million up front and reduce his wages. That's what you do. That's what you do.
Yeah.
250 grand a week. I think it's more than that, but it's insane. It's insane. No moisture at the inn. I mean, listen, if United get Gyökeres, I would be look, the blockage here for Man United, as we've said many times, and I don't want to repeat ourselves, is the fact that they still haven't got rid of Højlund, 72 million on massive wages, Casemiro, Anthony, Rashford, and others, and they want to get rid of Garnacho, stupid money. I don't know. It seems to me it's mad. Manchester United goalkeeper Tom Heaton's extended his contract by another year, but I think they need more than that.
They're definitely more than that. Yeah.
So there's rumours.
Isn't he for third or fourth choice?
Yeah, but there's rumours again, as we've mentioned before. Hopefully, these will be put to bed soon. That Emil Martinez wants to leave Villa to go to Man United, and Nana's been offered a contract down at Monaco. This is a good little player. They finally got him, haven't they?
Not a little player, mate. He's 6'5".
I mean, good little player, right?
No, he's saying. I know.
Yeah, he's a good player, mate.
Cracking player, but apparently Stuttgart are furious. Stuttgart are furious in Munich that they didn't know what was going on, and that Voltemade kind of did them dirty, kept it all to themselves. The agent didn't share any details. Interesting one, mate. I think he's a baller. He's such a clever player, but he's a bit Peter Crouch-esque with his he's bad in the air, but he's incredibly talented with his ball at his feet, despite the fact that he's got a very.
Stuttgart had a good season. Stuttgart had a good season. Look, Bayern Munich are seriously smarting, because history tells us if Bayern Munich want a German player, a player in Germany, they invariably get them. And they didn't get Florian Wirtz, and it hurt them. They were twerking for Wirtz. They had Florian Wirtz's dad up at Bayern Munich, twerking, asking the dad, and the dad said to Wirtz, come to Bayern Munich. They really want you. He flew back to Germany, went to see Bayern Munich, had a look around and decided, no, I'm going to Liverpool. I mean, they got rid of Sane. They got rid of Tell. They still need a wide man,
Yeah. Rumours they're interested. Obviously, they're trying to get Nico Williams, and Bilbao would rather he go there than to compete against them at Barcelona.
Correct.
Martinelli's of interest. There's a few left players out there. Maybe Eze as well. We don't know about that one. Maybe that one will pop up, right?
Well, you'd think that would have reared its head by now, because especially with the 2020 I would have thought. Do you know what's amazing me? Right, we talk about these other things. The UEFA still haven't given Crystal Palace the go-ahead that they can compete in the Europa League next season. How much more? Look, I mean, are we saying is that Woody, who's definitely got a Woody, having bought 43% for only 190 million? That's got to be the bargain buy of the season. I mean, Liverpool spent 140 million euros on Florian Wirtz. Woody spent 190 million on buying 43% of a football club, with assets worth a considerable amount of money. But yeah. I'm not quite sure why they can't give the go-ahead now. Do you think it's to do with our friend Texter, who's having a bit of a mare?
The go-ahead on what? Sorry, on the takeover?
Yeah, no. I mean, the Europa League, UEFA haven't given them the go-ahead still, despite
they will. I think I read somewhere from a decent source. I think it was Ornstein or something that said they're definitely playing in the Europa League. So maybe they're just going through the various ratifications of it, or maybe it depends on, maybe they're waiting for the Premier League to ratify the fit and owners test of Woody Johnson. We'll find out. Just quickly, Alfie, I think you might have misheard, or maybe I wasn't clear. I wasn't saying. I say he's a bit like Crouch, but he can't play in the air. I was saying it's a bit like Crouch. I was saying like he's very talented with the ball at his feet. I don't think I was saying Peter Crouch isn't good in the air. I think I say he's a bit like Crouch, but can't play. He's not very good in the air, which is what Nick Voltemade isn't. But they're both very good for big guys with the ball at his feet. We've got 79 saying Levy listens to you guys. Does he? I don't know whether I'd want him to, because we're just fans. And if an owner listens to fans, then that'd be terrible. But if it's true,
I like that list. Richard Rios, I love. Piero Hincapié, I'm a massive fan of. Bakayoko, not such a great season last season. Vlahovic scored a goal against Juve when they got absolutely hammered yesterday, but not for me at this precise moment. Not for me at the moment. Just to say, guys, if you're
a fucking quality player,
if you're in the chat and you haven't hit the like button yet, guys, could you please just hit that button? Helps the algorithm. Sorry to keep repeating it. I know you hear us, but it really does make a huge difference and helps us grow. And if you're here for the first time, hit the subscribe button. It just tells you when we're on again next. The other news, Sean, Everton fans will be really happy about. It looks like Jared Braithwaite finally is going to sign a new contract, which will put to bed all the rumours that he was going to Chelsea and Spurs and every other club. You know, he's an undoubted talent, and obviously they'll be happy to hang on to him. And if they do eventually lose him, they're going to have to be paying whoever goes for him, and they will eventually go for him. They're going to have to pay serious money. Serious money.
Manchester United, there's clearly something going on with United in the midfield that apparently, get this off as well. They are apparently, let me get rid of this chat for a second. 1 second. They're now moving. They're making a shot move for Leicester midfielder Wilfred Ndidi. Well, didn't Ndidi spend last year on loan? I'm sure he spent. Didn't Ndidi spend last year?
Yes, Ndidi. I think.
I'm sure he spent.
Why were you doing that one?
Wasn't he at Atlanta or somewhere last year? Am I wrong about that?
I thought he was still at Leicester. Personally,
maybe I'm wrong. Who am I thinking of? Who's the player? Look, is it Lookman? Was it Lookman that was at Leicester that went to? I can't remember who it was.
While you're doing that one, Sean, Fulham are pursuing a deal to sign Brazilian striker Romelu from Turkish side Göztepe, which Fulham seem to find a Brazilian tucked away in the darkest depths. There's so many Brazilians all over the world. They used to be in places like Rubin Kazan and Shakhtar Donetsk and all these sort of places. From Brazil there. Ukraine, especially before the war, and now coming over here. They managed to find them. I wonder if he'll be another one. I wonder if he didn't. He was at Leicester. I'm more than certain. Monaco are set to sign Ansu Fati on a season-long loan from Barcelona. No one is prepared to give Ansu Fati a proper contract, because let's be honest, he was lauded like Lamine Yamal, but he's turned out to be a bit of a fatty. to be honest.
Yeah, Lamine, you're not right, Mal.
You're not right, Mal.
Oh, lost you, mate. Your internet's cracking there. Yeah. Ansu Fati became a Lamine later. Let's see. Blake L. Spurs. Appreciate you, mate. Thank you very much. Enjoying some apple juice this weekend. Very nice of you, mate. Thank you very much, buddy.
Thank you very much
Appreciate
indeed.
you, buddy. Thanks very much.
Cheers
First
to
time
all.
I've
Thanks for all the super chats, guys. Really appreciate them. Cheers.
I'm a lemonade myself. Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks very much indeed. I don't know. I think there's probably a couple more stories, mate. Let me just run through them before we let you go. We got the story.
Hang on. Manchester City legend Yaya Toure is reported to be handed his first managerial role at Daring Brussels, that well-known Belgian team. How
dare is to Brussels. The last time I dared to have Brussels, it was at Christmas time, a couple of years ago.
The one I was loving was the there's two things I want to say. Has anyone seen the contract, the 1-year contract that Cristiano Ronaldo has signed?
Yeah, madness.
Only $7,000 a second.
No, he's not. Not a second. He's earning 15 euros a second is what he's earning.
Was it or $7 a second?
No, it's 15 euros per second.
Sorry, $7 a second. Sorry. Hang on. I saw the contract in there. It was insane.
I've got to hear some. I've got to hear.
250 million a year.
No, it's 500,000. Here we go. 400 million euros per year, 33.34 million per month, 7.6 million per week, 1.1 million per day, $46,300 per hour, 772 euros. Sorry, not dollars, euros. 772 euros per minute, or 13 euros per second. Super chat.
Well, forget super chat. It's like more than super chat. It's like insane. I think the one we got to bring up, Sean. This is the one that's been breaking. The following rules are reported that will be introduced into the Premier League next season. Are you listening to these? These are going to be. This is
actually quite cool, though. Go on.
This is cool, right? Halftime interviews with players and managers. What do we think of that one? I'll repeat that.
I think that the managers should. I don't know. The managers should maybe 30 seconds on the way out, on the way in.
Have they got time?
Yeah, well, I think they're going to be clipped
right now. We've had a shit first half. I think I've got to talk to my team.
Yeah.
Talk to you. I mean, could we have Roy Hodgson? Roy, are you taking a piss? Do you remember?
Let's start this again. Let's start this again.
It's
live, boy. It's live.
Yeah, I thought we were all right. Right. Yeah, I can imagine more. We're going to have a lot more Roy Hodgson moments. Halftime interviews with players and managers. Interviews with players who get subbed off. How do you feel? You've had a shit game. You subbed you off. What do you think of the manager?
Madness, isn't it?
We're going to have some interviews. And the one I really like, dressing room broadcasts. Huh?
Yeah, I like that too. I think I love it. I like it's the Americanization, isn't it, of
great.
Sport.
There's
a lot of American sort of sport that I find a little bit no disrespect, but a little bit too sort of tacky. But there's certain bits of the way that they kind of commercialize and think about the viewer, think about the experience, and I think are fantastic. And the ones that they've picked here that are going to be put in place next year, I think they're going to be really interesting additions to the Premier League.
Do you know what they do need, though? Above all of this, the fans that pay the most money, the fans that go to the stadium, who sit there when a goal is scored and sit on their hands, grabbing their phones, trying to find out through friends or through the internet, through Twitter or whatever, what's going on. It's a farce. The referees and Stanley Park need to be mic'd up.
Well, they're mic'd up in the Club World Cup, aren't they?
Yeah, but I need to see what's going on. The fans deserve to see what's going on. Oh, it might create a riot. It's not going to create a riot. What it does, it creates more of a riot the fan that sits in the stadium has less of an idea of what's going on than the fan at home. It's not right. What it will do is it will give us those moments, like those Hawkeye moments when you see at Wimbledon when the ball's going to the line and you can see, or
it zooms into within an inch of its life.
Like, you know, Barry, draw the line. Draw the line, Barry. Draw the line. Draw the line. Try the other angle. Yeah, and you're in the stadium and you can say, oh no, look, it's 100
6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes. What's going on? It's embarrassing.
We can see though, but at least we can see and hear. Because look, I don't want to go into the conspiracy theories again, but we had a referee who was thrown onto the scrap heap for his comments about Jurgen Klopp and which clubs he didn't like and who he supported. If we're monitoring referees, we need to monitor the people at Stanley Park who are making these decisions, because some of the decisions that have been made at Stanley Park and the VAR are outrageous. I'm not a Villa fan, far from it, but that decision that cost them the Champions League was outrageous at the last game of the season. And I asked the question,
that would cause a riot. That would cause a riot.
Yes, but why? But it has.
Rightly so. Rightly so.
It has.
Yeah. Do you know the other thing that absolutely needs to change, right? Is when they send the referee to the monitor, it's a waste of an additional minute of game time, because we all know the outcome here. It's a way for the referees to feel like, or to try to implement some narrative into the zeitgeist that the guy on the pitch actually has some sway in those moments, where if it's a 50-50 but he's made a mistake, or at least the people think he's made a mistake. Have you ever seen a person go to the monitor and then disagree with the idea that he should change his answer? So the whole thing's ridiculous. What I would love to see is either a referee go, actually, let me look at it again. You're telling me I've made a mistake. Nah, fuck you. I'm actually happy with my on-field decision. I'd love to see that. Or just, if you've made a mistake, then why go through the theatre of the inevitability? It's so ridiculous. Oh, he's doing this. He's running over. We know what you're going to do, so just do it. Get on with the game.
My point is, he goes like this. He puts his fingers to his ear. Yeah. He nods. He points. Yeah. We don't hear it. What I want to hear is, what are you talking about? I didn't make a mistake. You did. You didn't see that bit there. Oh, no. I don't agree. I thought he came. No. We don't hear anything. All we see is the guy going like that, some guy in a box somewhere at Stanley Park. We don't know who his affiliation is with or what he's doing. He's probably playing cards and eating a chicken sandwich at the time and not even watching the game. It's a farce. This is a professional football game worth billions and billions of pounds, and yet we carry on like it's Mickey Mouse. Let's wire them up. If we're not going to wire them up during the game, fair enough, because there's swearing and all the rest of it. I get it. Wire them up when they get to that. When they get to the monitor, we hear it on the stadium. Hello, Barry. Yeah, you messed up, mate. Declan Rice came in from the side there and took him out. You didn't see it. Foot raised too high. I think it's a red card. And then he sees it, or they disagree. But we've seen far too many mistakes. And the one that needs to go this season, and this has caused so many injuries, especially for Spurs playing Angie's suicide high line, is allowing ridiculous offsides to continue the whole play. So these recovery runs from the centre-backs pulling hamstrings the whole time. If it's blatantly offside, put your bloody flag up, mate, right? You don't need to have, a goalkeeper run out and come in collision with a striker when he's fucking 20 yards offside. You can clearly see it. Oh, no, I can't put my flag down because the rules tell me I can't. No, if it's clear and obvious, put your flag up.
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. Just last couple of stories, guys, then we're going to round off. It's an interesting one for you, Johnny, here. Fenerbahce's football director, Devin Osick, has travelled to Colombia to meet with John Duran to convince him to join the club. This is the guy that left for 70 million euros
How are they going to pay for that? Fenerbahce haven't got 70 million.
I don't think it matters. Was it you that said this to me, or someone said this to me when I was taking Bugsy out for a walk? That there's a conspiracy theory knocking about that in order to get the money, like it's almost money laundering going on, whereby you don't have the same auditing, like owners in the Premier League, like American owners sometimes with dodgy dealings going on. In order to get that transfer of value, that transfer of money, that it's going out to places like Turkey and Saudi Arabia, and then the way that it gets legitimized and watched is become. It's me saying it, was it? Yeah.
A guy messaged me saying to me that a lot of money is going into Saudi Arabia, being cleansed and coming back in via transfers through Saudi and through the rest. By the way, Marquis and Carl Simpson, yes. It was Awonyi. Foxy. I've forgotten who else said it. Yeah, it was Awonyi for a Forest who ran through on goal and collided with the post when he was in fact miles offside, and basically they could have flagged it, and now he's paying the price.
Foxy, mate, your knowledge of football, bro, is like, well, it doesn't matter what we're talking about. Like, sometimes I sit there and see people in the chats, right, who we're talking about something, we're not sure about whether or not, like, something, like, I'm not sure if it's this person or that person, and then some people just quickly Google and then jump it into the chat, and you kind of go, okay, thanks for the clarification. Foxy, you seem to know absolutely everything about absolutely everything in football, mate. Are you what's going on,
Foxy is Grok.
He's Groxy.
Groxy. I call him Groxy. Foxy is now Groxy. I think
the man's insane. Yeah. He knows where the 17-year-old out of Kazakhstan started his football. He knows the guy's mum and dad, his initial mum and dad sold him for a goat back in 2003.
Well, that's pretty standard. The old goat. Yeah, there's no exchanging for a goat. Listen, Gaza, I believe you're right. It's whether or not I do believe as well that Arsenal's first choice will be Rodrygo, but whether or not they can negotiate the price, we're not sure. If you're still in the room and you haven't hit the like button, hit that like button, guys. As I said, helps us. And if you're watching this later, drop us a comment. I noticed we had quite a few comments last time, Sean. Yes, we did.
Okay, a lot of them. Mate, it's probably time to wrap up. Look, there's 24 hours more in 24 hours' time. We're going to go through everything every day with you guys. It's a fascinating window, maybe not for Tottenham, but for everybody else. Things are heating up. If you are a Tottenham fan, or even if you're not, but you're interested, I'm going to be over at the Spurs Talk Show in about 40 minutes, I think 5 o'clock until 7.
Drop one more, Sean. I'm going to drop one more. Okay, one more. Okay, so Atletico Madrid are seriously twerking. They've been doing it for a long time for Christian Romero. And according to Matt Law, who loves Tottenham, loves a Spurs story, a dig, a stir, something to stir the pot, whether it's about Ange, Spurs having no money. And the latest one is that Tottenham value Christian Romero over 60 million, and rightly so, because some of the prices that are being quoted, 70 million euros. You haven't got the money, Atletico Madrid. Stop twerking. If you want him, pay the money or shut up. Basically, it's time to be quiet. Spurs do not need to sell him. Right, we're in the Champions League. We don't need to sell him. And even if we sold him, Sean, Mark Gahey ain't coming to Spurs, right? He's going to be twerking for Liverpool, and he's going to be waiting until he signs his free contract. Is there anybody out there that you can think of that Spurs could slot into that position that would make it so we never missed him? Not many.
Yeah, there's lots of.
I don't think there are. I don't think so.
I'm a big fan of Diamandi from Sporting. On the right side, you could go and get. Jared Branthwaite, for what it's worth, is about to sign a new contract, so that one's dead. I think you could go to. I think there's players out in Italy. Gleison Bremer. I think you could go and get a Gleison Bremer from Juve.
Listen, I hear you, but they're not. Listen, there's a reason why. There's a reason why he was Italian Defender of the Year. Why he was a World Cup winner, a 2 times Copa America winner, Team of the Tournament World Cup, Team of the Tournament twice at the Copa America, Player of the Tournament in the Europa League. You know, there's a reason for all of that, Sean.
And there's also a reason why nobody else in world football has come knocking for him,
because no one's paying that money.
Well, that's what I mean. So, like, therefore, is he really the dream centre back? Dean Hoyt. Obviously, there's a pivot to youth and stuff, but I think you could go and get Murillo from Nottingham Forest if you paid that money. I'd absolutely wet yourself in. Now that we're playing a deeper line, I think that's not a problem. I do think that Gleison Bremer's very good. I think Buongiorno, who plays for Napoli right now, he might be someone you could get. I think you could go and get Diamandi. I think you could get Inacio.
Hang on, Buongiorno for a start is a left-sided centre-back, right? And I loved him when he was captain of Torino, right? I wanted him to come to Spurs. There are players. Gedson Bremner, be another CAA-based player. So, you know,
Gleison Bremer, he's been there and done it. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I mean, Danny Vivian, I think from Bilbao is a very good player. I don't think you could get this guy right now, but Nico Schlotterbeck from Borussia Dortmund. There's loads of centre backs out there, mate. There's loads and loads of centre backs out there.
There's centre backs, but there's some people with his.
Scalvini at Atalanta, I think, is a good player. Edmund Tapsoba at Leverkusen, the one player that hasn't left Leverkusen yet.
Sure, now you're going down the road. Now you're getting a bit carried away. Now I'm not having Tapsoba in the same level as
Tapsoba.
No, I'm not. I'm not having him at the same level. Not the same level. Sorry, not the same level as.
You're saying the same level. Of course, you're not necessarily going to get the same level because there's only like if Romero is like, I don't know, top 10 in the world, the other 9 play for bigger clubs. But that's not what you're not going to be able to get the same level. But you're going to get if you get 70 million quid. If you get 70 million quid for Romero or 60 million quid for Romero, and you're going to have to go and replace him. Danzo's not, good enough. But it's also, by the way, Romero only plays fucking 55% of the minutes, Johnny. So, like,
yeah, I know, but he's still a winner. Listen, he was the man of the match in 3 of our games that got us to the final, Sean. Right? I mean, you whatever you want to say, I hear what you're saying, but I think that this thing.
If he wants to go and someone pays up the money, let him go. But we
survived
without Harry Kane.
We're making out. I understand that, but we're making out that there's Romero placements all over the place that are just as good. What I'm saying to you
that's not what I said. That's not what I said. There are replacements available.
Yeah, there are replacements, but not as good. He came to us as Serie A Defender of the Year. We paid like over £45 million for him. We didn't pay buttons for him when we signed him, over 3 years ago. But listen,
I don't think he's as great as everyone makes out. I think he's a very good centre back. I think his availability is questionable. I think his loyalty is questionable. And I think he makes rash decisions at times. When he's on, he's amazing. He's unplayable when he's on. But he's not on all the time. There are other players out there that I would be very comfortable with coming in.
Listen, for me, he's a winner. He's proved it. He's never lost the final. The guy got inside Maguire's head. Maguire was so rattled, right, in that final. He did it in Frankfurt as well. He got inside their heads. He's a master at it. He's an absolute master at it. Anyway, we shall leave it there. Guys, thanks very much for all your support and good housekeeping on your way out. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And don't forget, Sean will be on probably in the next 40 minutes, Spurs Talk Show. If you want to talk more Spurs, we will be on tomorrow. I just think that the transfer window hasn't really ignited. We're getting tons of rumours, but we need some dominoes to fall right now to really make this thing hot up. And we'll be there, right, Sean?
100%. Look forward to then. On that basis, guys, it's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from him.
You got to reverse it, mate. You're going the wrong way. It's the other way. It's that way. It's that way even.
It's that way, isn't it?
It's not. It's the other way. There you go. Like, subscribe, and comment, guys. Take it easy. See you soon. Bye.